Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
11:04 on a Monday, which means we got Monday Night Football coming down the pipe for you here in the Lock Shop, presented to you by Coolbet. If you've not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you'll get a 100% deposit bonus on the initial deposit up to $200. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. And just a quick reminder, Tuesday night, tomorrow night, we will have Lock Shop Poker Series event number 4. Very much looking forward to that. You can already go pre-register. Just download the poker software, go to tournaments, search Lock Shop, and you can get in the mix there. And looking forward to that. Looking forward to this. Back in the studio. Looks like I got angel's wings with this graphics behind me. Yes, look at that. I have
How'd it go this morning?
Got through it. No super big coughing fits. Managed to get up in time. All in all, I'd say a pretty good show, buddy.
How close are you to being back? Like, I'm back. I know you're back on the show, but how close are you to being back?
I said this morning I felt like I'm about 95%. Eric corrected me. He thinks I'm at 90%. I think this cough is probably going to linger for like a couple weeks, and then we'll get rid of it. But I thought I'd probably be coughing a little bit more this morning, and I wasn't. So I'll take it. And energy levels are good. Although I'm starting to get a little tired. I'm going to have an excellent nap this afternoon. But no, it's it always takes a little while when I don't work, like when I'm on vacation or something, to realize how awesome sleep is again. All right, like Friday night, I didn't have anything to do, and like I slept for over 12 hours Friday night. And then like last night I went to bed at 11:30, woke up at 4:30, and I'm back to like 5 hours a night for the rest of my life again. So I guess the message to adults and children out there listening to the Lock Shop today would be, get sleep, kids. Get sleep. Apparently, it's very important for you.
I definitely agree with that. I tried to get maxed out on sleep this weekend.
Yeah, how are you feeling? You were under the weather. Yeah,
I mean, I'm still not totally there, but it was a perfect time to have 2 days off, put it that way, from talking and lots, maxed out the rest. And as I say, I should be, hopefully I won't have to miss any shows or anything like that. I'm still feeling and sounding pretty good. And we've got a huge week. We got a huge week. I mean, normally the Jets seem to play Tuesday, Thursday a lot. This week it's different. Big one tonight, and we can get to this when we get to the hockey.
It's the prime game, isn't it, us? Somebody's
actually, I don't think the Jets, it's funny because I think, if I'm not mistaken, let's just look right now in the league.
Maybe Hernan lied to me. I thought Hernan said it was the prime game.
It's the number 1 and 2 teams in the league tonight playing against each other. And you would think that it would be the Amazon game. But
what's the Amazon game if that's not it?
It's a good question. Maybe
somebody
Calgary.
Let us know. Somebody let us know.
Let's see here. Do we have a lot of games tonight? It's a huge slate. I guess that makes sense, though, because, of course, we're coming into U.S. Thanksgiving. And
Flame Sens, do they play? Yeah, Flame Sens is the prime game.
That would make sense. You got two Canadian teams that don't get on there very often, so they're going to put both of them on.
Does make sense.
But anyways, here we'll be watching, how about that? Jets and Wild.
Man, we watched Minnesota play Edmonton last week, buddy, and it ended up being 5-3. But, I mean, Draisaitl scored from inside his own blue line on Marc-Andre Fleury, dribbler. It was – Minnesota should have won that game 6 or 7-0. Like, they rolled over the oil in that game, man. It's they're good. I cannot wait. This will be a great game tonight between these two teams.
Yeah, just looking at it right now, and it's close to a pick 'em too. Jets -112, Minnesota -104. I'm going to look right now that I think about it. I think Kaprizov.
He's out.
Is he for sure out for tonight?
Well, let me see. I thought Drager brought it up this morning that he was out, but let me double check.
They've got the emergency thing on him. He's still in the line, but I think they are Apparently, it's a game time decision.
Yeah,
at least that's what DFO is showing right now.
Well, they'll certainly miss him if he's not there.
That'd be a huge loss. I mean, I think he's probably the MVP of the league so far through 20 games.
I think I think who was it? NHL.com had their like staff voting or whatever, and he was pretty comfortably the leader right now in the Hart Trophy conversation. So you got that going for you.
But yeah, back to the week though. I mean, tonight, big hockey game and a great Monday nighter, which we'll get into. Tomorrow, Lock Shop Poker Series number 4. Everyone should join us. Hell of a great time we've had on the first 3. Wednesday, late night game out in LA. Thursday, we've got the 3 Thanksgiving Day games in the National Football League. And then Friday, Chiefs Raiders 2 p.m. or I guess 1 p.m. in Edmonton on Friday afternoon, the first Black Friday game, and then Jets Vegas later on at night. So
it's busy for you in Winnipeg, man. The Oilers don't play until Friday.
What?
They played Saturday, have 6 days off, play Friday. 5 days off, I guess, technically. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That is so bizarre that they have a hole like that in the schedule, considering, the upcoming 4 nations and how, like, that hasn't been. Have they played more games or something like that?
I think they've played like 22. They played 1 more game than the 3 teams ahead of them, and 3 more games than the Canucks, who are sitting right behind them.
Weird.
So yeah, I don't know. It's I didn't even realize. I kind of been out of the loop. Finished that game, watching the game on Saturday, and went to check the schedule just for work purposes early in the week. And yeah, they don't play until Friday. So weird week, but right, with the triple header on Thursday for football, that'll get us going. And like you mentioned, poker tournament as well, and a good Monday nighter tonight. So that'll be good. We'll set that up. Pat Gregoire is going to pop by around 11:30. We do have lots to get to from the National Football League yesterday. And I did say right before we came on, I was looking at our thumbnail today, and Justin Herbert, I said, man, that's a good-looking man. And what'd you say? Yeah, he's a stud, eh? Or hunk? I think you call him a hunk.
He is a hunk.
Yeah.
He's a hunk. He'd be one of the best-looking dudes in the NFL. I maintain, the more I look at Adam Lowry on a daily basis, I'm putting him up.
Let me get a look at Adam Lowry. Let's see.
Yeah, he's dreamy.
He's a hunk too, eh? Yeah, not bad actually. Got like those are like thin eyes, like there's a good stare there. Any good
stashes on the Oilers right now?
Well, Skinner.
The Jets have some amazing Movember. The Jets have some incredible Movember stashes right now.
Yeah, Adam Lowry's face is put together nicely, proportionate. I could see it. I understand what you're saying there. All right.
Jason and Leduc can't wait for the poker tourney boys. Played a live tourney on the weekend and won me my buy-in and a few rebuys. LOL.
We've created a monster. Jason Leduc will be rolling in, so that'll be good.
And you know what? And hey, listen, let's just get to this. I'll jump on this grenade. Who picked the Rams on the partner parlay?
Who was
I believe that would have been suggested by me. That was so disappointing. And I think I put this in the group chat, but I'm banning myself from betting on or against the Eagles
both ways.
Now.
You're done with the Eagles altogether.
Like they're on the
what about
suspended.
Saquon Barkley overs? Could I convince you to Saquon Barkley over maybe over the next?
Sure. Right. Just listen. I'm watching this game last night and realized that my disdain for Nick Sirianni and the Eagles has clouded my judgment of them as they have turned into a pretty formidable team. Like they did not look that at the beginning of the season. But they really have been good. And my God, that defense, like that's what I wasn't prepared for. Jalen Carter got double teamed on every single play. I mean, the Rams just didn't have an answer for them, and they really couldn't stop them as well. That offense, even without Devonta Smith, looked really, really good. It's funny. Of all the games, I had about 6 plays, and I put 2 out, and I think I've had my 5th straight 2-2 week. But I hated myself for taking the Patriots. I still looking back.
Did you get on the Pats, eh?
Yeah.
Big number.
Got in the Pats at plus 7.5. And then I had Tampa and Denver both at similar numbers.
Yep.
I didn't put Tampa in on the best bets. I should have basically put Tampa in instead of either the Patriots, but more likely the Rams game. I thought that Rams game getting 3 or 3.5 was actually a pretty good number. But I had a lot more faith in the Rams. And as I say, I hate for this to come out of my mouth. I didn't give Philadelphia enough credit. They are very, very good right now. But I do hope your Lions beat the living daylights out of them come playoff time, if they can get that far. That actually, after watching that game, I did sort of think of a potential NFC championship game of those two teams in the Dome. I will be taking the over in that game, but let's just say this. I might not have a side in it, but I will definitely be taking the over in that one.
It's funny you bring it up because I look at the NFC right now, and the only thing that really concerns me is Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? As a Detroit Lions fan, nothing against the Vikings, but Saquon concerns me. Like the rest of the Eagles, their defense, you mentioned their defense.
The Eagles' defensive line should concern you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Lions have a good offensive line too. I mean, that'd be a great battle. That'd be an absolutely great battle. Yeah. But Saquon, I mean, the guy is just having an absolutely ridiculous season. Now the Lions have running backs who can do damage as well. That would be a great NFC championship. So I don't know, man. I mean, both of our teams get to 10-1. They do it in different fashion. Tell me about being the Chiefs fan in the fourth quarter of that game, Huss.
You know what? Honestly, that was it was low stress. It was low stress. Like there wasn't ever a moment that I thought that they weren't going to win the game. And I don't even. It's so weird because we've had this conversation before, but it's sort of like they just sort of do what they have to do to win. And I mean, they had an 11-point lead. They did a good job. I mean, I'll tell you what, one takeaway from this game is Bryce Young looks way better and way more confident right now after sitting out a few of those games. I know everyone said he's done and that's it. Bust pick. Tell you what, he actually made some great throws yesterday.
Yeah, you're going to see another year of Bryce Young in Carolina, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, whether he battles for the job or they have someone else in there, I'm not sure, but he actually looked good and played very well yesterday. But the offense was rolling too. I mean, Mahomes had about 200 yards in the first half, and they did a good job. They did a terrible job blocking though. The offensive line was iffy, and that's why Mahomes got sacked 4 or 5 times. That I'm sure pissed off Andy Reid. And then the defense, honestly, this defense is so good, and they rise to the occasion when they have to. They just didn't seem to be locked in for that game like they have been before. And listen, credit to Carolina for coming all the way back, for tying the game with the 8-point, with the touchdown and the 2-pointer. Unfortunately for them, there was a minute 46 left, and Mahomes gets the ball, and
you can't do that.
Did you see the run that he made? Did you see that run that he made that set up the?
I did not.
The winning goal. He's taking it around to the corner, and then just does a hard turn in between two defenders, splits the guys, and went for about 35 yards, I think, to set up what was an easy field goal. That was the one thing. Butker's on the IR, right? So we've got this new kicker. Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's the one variable. But hey, good for him. He got it done. So whatever, they were onto it. But man, I was doing a lot of reading about the game afterwards, and I think for the first time, the players were kind of pissed off at themselves for having that game be as close as it ended up being. I mean, Andy Reid said afterwards in his, whatever, how about them Chiefs speech that, they need to be better. But he was almost kind of like saying, hey, guys, winning is hard in the National Football League. Be happy about it. But you could tell that they know that they were not their best and they're going to have to be moving forward. So anyways, another weird Sunday for the Chiefs, but they're 10-1. And I did get a chance to see some of the Lions game. They look listen, I thought Indy actually played them pretty tough for the most part, but I mean, you're not going to be able to hold them down for long, and they ended up getting in the zone enough, and the defense looked good.
Yeah, you gotta find a way to keep up with the Detroit Lions so far this season, and The Colts just didn't have that. As you mentioned, the Patriots. Thoughts on the Dolphins' offense since Tua's come back? It's been insanely efficient. I mean, they didn't even really have to use Tyreek Hill last game. Jalen Waddle, Jonnu Smith, like they look scary. Their offense looks scary right now for the Miami Dolphins. But how does that factor into anything in that playoff picture, do you think?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They had so much of a hole to climb out of. I mean, even winning 3 straight games, they're still under 500.
Yeah.
Like right now in the AFC, the Chiefs are in, the Bills are in, the Steelers are probably in, and the Texans or somebody else in that division, but probably the Texans will be. So you got your 4 division winners, and then there's 3 wild cards. Well, the Chargers, Ravens, and Broncos all have 7 wins. So they're 2 up on Miami. Now, the conference record for the Dolphins is 4-4. Chargers is 2-2. They might be. Let's just see. Have they played any of those teams so far? No, they haven't. They will play the Broncos. Do they get the Broncos? Oh, no. It's funny. They don't play those. So, listen, they're just going to have to hope that one of those teams goes into a bit of a slump. They got a tough game, though. I mean, like, Dusty, are they done if they lose in Green Bay?
Well, that's the thing. If they lose in Green Bay and are stuck at 5-7, and I mean, I guess you only have to track down one of those teams, but I mean, one of the Chargers or Ravens is going to 8 wins tonight. And then, I mean, Denver's been playing so well. And the Dolphins' schedule is Packers, then Jets, then Texans, then Niners, Browns, and then Jets again to wrap up the season. So, I mean, it's looking pretty bleak, but offensively they've looked good. But you're right, the hole might be a little bit too big to get out of.
I mean, listen, I think they'll beat the Jets. They could definitely beat the Texans, the Browns, and the Jets again. So that would get them to 9 wins. Can they win in Green Bay or at home to the Niners? Because I think 10 wins probably gets you there. Although, based on the fact that there's no common games between these teams, we could potentially see a 10-7 team not make it in the AFC this year. I think that'll be very different in the NFC right now. While we're talking about this schedule, are we ready to stick a fork in the San Francisco 49ers?
Well, I mean, you kind of at 5-6, 2 wins back, banged up. I don't know if I'm ready to say, well, what's their schedule look like? What's the Niners schedule?
Here we go. Next week at the Bills.
Oh boy.
Home to the Bears, home to the Rams, at the Dolphins, home to the Lions. And the Lions will want to win that game for home field. And then at the Cardinals.
That's a tough road.
I mean, I think they'll be fortunate to get to 9-8. Now, if they snuck in, they'd be a pretty tough team. I mean, here's your second team. Actually, it would be funny. They get in and then take on Philly, the 2 seed in the first game, and roll in there healthy and ready to go.
Well, but just sticking in that conference, Commanders Cowboys yesterday, us. You get an 86-yard touchdown from Terry McLaurin to look like you're going to force overtime, and then Siebert comes out and misses it was a low snap, but he hooks it, misses the game-tying extra point, and then onside kick that gets returned for a touchdown, whatever. That's a killer for the Commanders.
Dude, that was the craziest freaking, like the last 3 minutes of that game was as bizarre as any I've ever seen. Like, listen to this. So the Cowboys were up 20-9. The Commanders score a touchdown with 3:02 left. Zach Ertz. Daniels runs for the 2-pointer. So now they're down by 3. Turpin returns the kick, 99 yards, and they go back up.
Did you say that was a great kick? He bobbled it, picked it up, spin move, straight line gone. Phenomenal return.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I think that guy is actually the fastest guy in the league.
They said that during the call.
So the Commanders now are still back down 10. They get the ball back. They kick this 51-yarder. They get the ball back again with like 30 seconds left. And then do the 86-yard pass. Like, they scored 17 points in the last 3 minutes of the game, like 3 different possessions. And then they kick the ball off, and then the Thomas guy returns it back. Was kind of thinking this would be so perfect. Instead of going down and you have the one game, they go in up by 8, kick it to the Commanders, and watch them go back the other way, and then have that been something. Overtime.
Man, that would have been absolutely nuts.
There was a lot of stuff. Like the witching hour of the games yesterday was probably the best of the year. I mean, that was the craziest game. But you also had that big comeback by Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Yeah, it made things
extremely. He looks like an entirely different quarterback now that they've changed coordinators. Like, I can't remember the guy that they got rid of. But he's playing with a whole different level of confidence. And listen, Minnesota had that game won, and then they didn't. What was it? They scored a touchdown with 22 seconds left, and then the first successful onside kick of the year. They get a field goal on the number, and then it goes to OT. And both teams had possessions in overtime before the Vikings won it with 2:10 left. So Minnesota gets to 9-2. That's all that matters. You can cash those over tickets if you had the Vikings for this season. And listen, I don't think we expected the Bears to win this game, but I think there's a lot of positives considering where their season looked to be going. Great game for Caleb Williams, made some big league throws, and I think Bears fans are in a little bit of a better headspace today.
Yeah, positive step in the right direction, 100%. Pat Gregoire is going to join us in about 4 or 5 minutes. We'll get into the National Football League Monday nighter. Chargers and Ravens should be a good game. We'll put together a little parlay as well. Huss, do we want to hit the National Hockey League here quickly before?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we take a look at the huge slate of games today?
Busy Monday. Let me get our starting goaltenders, and then we'll take a look at some of these games that we like. If you are, if you're watching over on YouTube, feel free to share your best play in the National Hockey League tonight. Or if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you can fire us a text at 780-218-9999. All right, here we go. Starting goaltenders tonight in the National Hockey League. Busier Monday night than usual. It'll be Logan Thompson for the Washington Capitals tonight against Spencer Knight for the Florida Panthers. Vasilevsky for Tampa and Justus Anunen. They're both listed as likely at this moment. Fedotov will start for the Flyers. Aiden Hill unconfirmed for the Golden Knights. Joel Hofer versus Shesterkin, St. Louis and the Rangers. Markstrom listed as likely for the Devils. They're at home hosting the Nashville Predators. UC Saros is unconfirmed. Jake Ottinger is confirmed to start for Dallas. Spencer Martin listed as likely for the Carolina Hurricanes. Forsberg versus Dustin Wolf. That is the Monday night prime game between the Flames and the Ottawa Senators. Varlamov will start for the Islanders. Red Wings will go with Alex Lyon. Gustafsson confirmed to start for the Minnesota Wild. Hellebuck listed as likely for the Jets. Lucas Dostal and Joey Decord unconfirmed, Seattle and Anaheim. And then Big Save Dave and Mackenzie Blackwood unconfirmed in the Kings Sharks game. This has to be the busiest Monday of the season so far. I mean, that's
crazy, man.
That's a busy night.
11 games.
That's crazy. All right, so hey, good news is there's lots to choose from.
There is.
What do you like, Huss?
Sign me up. I like the number on Vegas, -138 against the Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, I think these teams are just in different weight classes right now. And to be honest, even though they are playing on the road, I like the number for the Golden Knights. You know, Nashville, I got to say, Nashville played pretty desperate on Saturday against Winnipeg. UC Saros is really good. Did you say Saros is going again?
Saros, I did say Saros. I don't know if it was confirmed, but he was listed, yes.
I mean, I guess if we wanted to look at a And jeez, no, I'm not touching Nashville. What am I talking about? I mean, New Jersey's a really good team.
I love it. Happens once in a while when like you change your mind mid-pick. You're just like, no, that's not happening.
Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, I'm still angry with Florida losing to Chicago last week. That cost us that very beautiful parlay. That's the one where we had Vegas as a plus 133 underdog that came through.
Yeah.
They have lost 3 straight games. They've got the Caps coming in without Alex Ovechkin. To me, this is a Paul Maurice kick in the ass game. And I mean, the number isn't great though. It's minus 172.
Yeah, it's not bad for the parlay though. You know, like that's something we could sneak in.
If you like that game, I would be willing to put it on and give the Panthers another chance. I think they're very good. So
no, I think that's definitely where we start. I think that's
what about you?
Well, I mean, when I was going through the starting goalies, and I don't know, Detroit's a little bit of a mess, but the Islanders aren't that much less of a mess. You know, like I was thinking Islanders, but now I'm thinking stay away. Minus 154. Varlamov's going to start. Detroit, they're 8-10-2. The Islanders are 8-8-5. They played not that long ago. Detroit, I think, won that game 2-1. Yeah, they beat them 2-1 4 days ago. Islanders coming off a win against St. Louis. Prior to that, that was their first game back after a 5-game road trip. Detroit has 2 wins in their last 8, including a loss to Boston. They're 2 wins. One's against the Islanders, and then another one's against Pittsburgh. So I don't know. I guess that's an anti-Detroit play for me, but I just don't know if I like the Islanders enough to get on it.
Yeah, I don't really have a feel. What about this Amazon game between Calgary and Ottawa? 2 teams in very different spots right now. The Flames are on a 4-game heater right now. They just swept their homestand, beating Nashville, the Islanders, the Rangers, and the Wild. And Ottawa, did you see the end of that Ottawa-Vancouver game on Saturday? The most humiliating game of keep away I can remember.
Oh, I didn't see that.
In a long, long time. They had a delayed penalty. Ottawa had a delayed penalty. And the Canucks just skated around with the extra attacker passing to each other. And Ottawa could not get the puck. And it went on for about 2 minutes. And how they finally got the puck was taking another penalty, and it ended up being a 5-on-3. And that was it. So this is a huge game. I mean, Ottawa, okay, you're on national TV or whatever. You're on the Amazon game. You have lost, I believe it's 4 straight. 5 straight. They lost to the Flyers, Canes, and then on this homestand came back 5-2 to the Oilers, 3-2 to the Knights, 4-3 to the Vancouver Canucks. Like, I kind of lean like, okay, Ottawa, if you're going to win a game, this is going to be it. But I don't know. I think we've been selling Calgary short all this time.
Man,
and
I don't think I can go against Dustin Wolf right now. I don't think I can do it. I mean, the guys, but when did we talk about this? Thursday? Were we talking about him on Thursday? Like, he's just been absolutely lights out. And you get Calgary at a plus number?
Yeah, plus 135. Yeah. Like, if we went Vegas, Florida, and Calgary, we'd get it probably above 6-1.
Vegas, Florida, Calgary, plus 540. Yeah, I mean, they're going to probably boost that close to 6-1. I'm totally fine with that. I like it.
All right, let's ride. Let's bring in Pat. Let's see what he thinks.
Yeah,
if he
let's see what P. Greggy thinks of this. Pat
there's any red flags.
Joins us. Pat, when we say Patty? Panthers at home, minus 172 against the Ovechkin-less Caps. Golden Knights, minus 138 on the road against Philly. And then Calgary, as a dog, at plus 135, rolling into face the struggling Ottawa Senators. Is there a red flag there for you? Is there anything that Jake would deem fishy, in your opinion?
There's no fish, but I could certainly tell you that Jake and myself, being Leaf fans, definitely don't want the Panthers to get back on track, because if you've taken a look at the Atlantic standings, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Austin Matthews list, Toronto Maple Leafs sitting in first. But no, you bring up really great points there. The Panthers obviously need to get back on track. They have been struggling as of late from their standards. I don't think you'll ever get a good number like that against, the Golden Knights against a lowly team in the Flyers. So this gets my full approval. And the Sens are a dumpster fire. They are so bad, like alarmingly bad. And the Flames don't get any respect. This Wolf kid is like, outside of watching the big names, and then obviously the tandem in Toronto, like, he is by far my favorite goalie to watch in the league right now. He's so much fun to watch. He is going to be a stud.
Yeah, it's funny because I like watching those guys who are a little bit smaller. And it seems like they got to work so much harder at it. But when they do, you just appreciate them that much more. Like, the guy has stopped the puck at every single level, and now he's finally getting an opportunity to do it here, and we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's just an outstanding goaltender. So, yeah, I can't fade Wolf right now.
Not in as well. They're going with Forsberg.
Are they?
Trying to change things up. So yeah, let's roll with Calgary. Let's roll with Calgary to try to keep the misery going in Ottawa and make it 6 losses in a row.
I know Jake's watching because he's just in the chat saying the Sens are who we thought they were. Yes, so we're going to go
Yes,
Flames,
they are, Jake.
Flames as a dog against a Sens team that can't buy a win. It's a great number. Thank you very much, Coolbet. So Panthers, Golden Knights, Flames, all on the money line. Pat, I have to ask you, because we get this all the time in Edmonton when a team has success without a player. Should the Maple Leafs look to trade Austin Matthews because you get so many significant pieces that could help a first-place team right now?
Is he still in Germany, by the way?
He's back from Munich. There were some rumblings that he actually took a flight to Munich, and then it was a transfer flight to Turkey so he get some hair plugs. He debunked those pretty quickly at practice yesterday. There's also some theories, if you go into the deep depths of Reddit, that he went to Munich to see this one doctor that uses calf bloods to regenerate muscles and tendons. Well, hey, whatever it takes for the Toronto Maple Leafs to get over the hump, break the Ballard curse, I'll take it. John Tavares was caught earlier endorsing amulets. Like, this Toronto Maple Leaf team is going to the mad science and to witch doctors to figure things out. I appreciate that. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Get crazy. I'll put all the amulets around my neck. I'll put calf blood in my body. If it's going to get the Leafs over the hump, I'm going to do it. And I know Jake is in the chat right now saying, give it to me as well.
I'm sure Jake already has had it done.
Yeah. Jake has to have a couple of amulets hanging around in his house. That's for sure.
Is John Tavares the Chichi Rodriguez of the NHL? Remember when Chichi had those weird bracelets, special energy bracelet, and, does sort of things. That's Tavares is that guy now for pro hockey
moving forward.
Yeah. No, it's wild times to say the least. But no, I mean there are some takes floating around there here in Toronto saying like, well, do you consider moving Matthews? Okay, I'm not even remotely going to talk about that. As people in Edmonton know, or people that are at least level-headed, when you're losing a big piece, it forces everyone else to step up and play that much better. Mind you, what I think it does ultimately show Craig Berube and this Toronto Maple Leafs team is that maybe it is time to split up Matthews and Marner. Marner clearly, him and Tavares have had some great chemistry with Matthews out. William Nylander, doesn't matter who he's playing with, he can drive a line. Maybe you have all three of those guys on their own line, driving their own line, and then now all of a sudden you're a little more difficult to defend because, as everyone knows here in Toronto, secondary scoring has been a very, very big backbone or Achilles heel of this team, whether it's in the playoffs or in the regular season. So if you have those three guys on a line, maybe picking up the other guys and picking up the slack there, maybe that's a better formula for some more scoring depth with this team.
It's Nielsen, Huss, and Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. Pat, we got to start with your thoughts. Biggest story yesterday from the National Football League before we get to the Monday Nighter? What jumped off the page for you the most?
Well, I'm with Huss, suspending myself from betting the Eagles. I've faded them so much this year. The dumbest future bet, I said it on Friday, Dusty, when you weren't on. The dumbest future bet in the history of this program was me taking the unders on Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns. That cashed already 2 weeks ago. I still thought, well, the Rams, you look at that offense, they can go toe-to-toe. No, absolutely not. The Rams are dead. They're dead. That win total bet I made, that's done. I'm not getting it. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. And I think it's time for me and Huss to realize, okay, maybe the Eagles are a good team. They're undefeated since that dummy Sirianni shaved his head. Like, they haven't lost a game since he shaved his head. I know down the stretch in the playoffs, he's going to do something dumb. Something's going to happen with his team, and they're going to fall short. But with the way that defense is playing, and we know how well constructed that offense is, and hey, I want to give myself a pat on the back. A couple weeks ago, I said we got to start talking about Saquon Barkley being an MVP candidate, or at least start thinking about sprinkling him for offensive player of the year. If you didn't get that in, I think the boat's going to be missed. When these lines open up at Coolbet tomorrow, I would not be surprised if we see Saquon maybe 3, 4
top 5
on the MVP board,
top 5,
and then
sure.
probably favorite for top offensive player for the year. I absolutely have to. What we saw yesterday was insane. Absolutely madness.
Do we think, like, and maybe I'm just trying to relitigate this pick to make it look better than it ended up being, but if freaking Kyron Williams can hang on to that damn football and that opening drive, and they get in and are up 7-0, is there a potential that game goes by a very different script? I think it just could have been a lot closer. I'd still think we saw over 60 minutes that Philly is the better.
Yeah, but
team.
like, starts and games make a huge difference, man. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't think the Rams win, but does that game go down the way it does if the Eagles fall behind 7-0 at that point? I don't know. I think there might be something to that. I'm not going to dismiss it. I think there might be something to that.
By the way, here's a take, guys. I'm just looking at the NFC playoff picture right now. And let's assume that the Lions can hold on and are the number 1 team, and Philly's second. And then let's give Seattle, as of right now, the West, and the Falcons the South. I think the Final Four, the divisional playoff, is going to be the Eagles and the 3 NFC North teams. Like, the Vikings and Packers are both going to probably be the first 2 wild cards. Yeah. So they'll play the winner of the NFC West and the NFC South. If you assume that the Eagles will wipe the floor with the Commanders or whoever gets into that 7 hole, it could be Lions, like basically Lions, Packers, Eagles, Vikings, or vice versa. I guess if the Packers can, they do have, I think they've got one more head-to-head game later on. Yeah, the second last game of the year, which could be, and that's in Minnesota. So if the Packers were to win that, then they would have the season series and they would jump them. But that NFC North, man, those teams are all really, really good, and make some very interesting games come divisional round if they can get through the first on the road.
Can't wait for playoffs. Still a long way to go in the regular season, and one more game to wrap up this week in the National Football League tonight. It is the Ravens, the Chargers, Harbaugh Bowl. Ravens are 2.5-point favorites on the road against the Chargers. The total is set at 50.5. And if you just like the Ravens on the money line, it's -139. The Chargers +128 on the money line. P. Greggy, let's start with this 2.5. That number's changed, right? I'm trying to think back to when we were looking at it last week. Was it 3 for a while?
Yeah, I saw some 3s hanging out there at the start of the week.
Yeah, at the start of the week. Okay.
As it progressed, maybe even from Tuesday, it was pretty much at this 2.5 number and has held strong since then, which leads me to believe that I really do feel like, when you look at the two teams on paper, you feel like Baltimore's the far more talented team. But then you put in some factors here that the Chargers have the best scoring defense in the NFL. They do a really good job defending the run. They do and let's not forget the biggest storyline of them all. It's the Harbaugh Bowl. Who knows each other better? Like, these two guys are going to be scheming like crazy. That's why on the program on Friday, I said I like the under. I know each team has the capabilities to be explosive. You look at the Ravens secondary, I think Herbert could have some success here tonight. But coaching is such a big part of this league. Both these guys want to beat the living daylights out of each other. So I'm going to go with the under 50.5. It's a big number for these two teams. I truly do think so. And I wish this was a 3-point. Like, I wish we got that hook, and maybe you could even buy it at Coolbet, because it looks like it's plus money right now at plus 102. Let's see what it gets to 3. Minus 123. I think I would be willing to take the hook there, just in case, because I feel like this one's coming down to a field goal. I really do.
That's what
I like the Ravens. I like the Ravens in this game. I kind of think, now listen, I've shit-talked the Ravens quite a bit, and deservedly so this season, for the way they've come up small against teams that they should wipe the floor with, like the Raider game, like the Browns game. They don't have a lot of wiggle room right now. And I mean, listen, they can take advantage of Pittsburgh taking that L against Cleveland with what would be a massive win. But I kind of think that with a little bit of extra time, with John going up against Jim, I think we're going to see the Ravens team that beat the crap out of the Bills in prime time a little earlier this season. Like, I really do. And listen, this is kind of house money for the Chargers right now. Like, no one expected them to be sitting here with 7 wins. And they're actually getting their own fans showing up for games too, which is
I know.
I mean, they're kind of like, okay. And listen, I don't think Baltimore is not like the Steelers or the Chiefs. I mean, they're not going to go in and completely take over that building. But to me, this is a big Lamar game. And I think Baltimore steps up. Like, I like Baltimore by a field goal. So I'm loving the fact that it's at 2.5 right now. So I would definitely be in on Baltimore, but Patty, I'm kind of with you. I don't mind that under 50.5. I'm not sure whether I play it or not, but I think if you looked at both sides on this one,
well, I got some numbers I can add to the under. This is good. I think I saw this at Action Network. Chargers are a slow playing team, right? Mm-hmm. 4th in seconds per snaps in the NFL. So they take their time. So they're not going to be rushing anything. That always helps an under. And then this is interesting. The Chargers have only played in one game all season that finished over 44 yards or over 44 points, and that was last week against the Bengals. Outside of that, they've been under 44 all year. This number is at 50.5. So I think the under is probably my favorite play of the money line just moved. Baltimore's now minus 145. But I think the under 50.5, I prefer the under as opposed to trying to go on the side. If I had to go on a side, I mean, Ravens minus 2.5 is probably my play here. But Patty, you brought up the under right away, and I think Huss and I are all on board with you on that one.
Yeah, it's screaming when you look at storylines, but then when you look at the numbers, it just screams under to me. Like I said, the Chargers have given up the least amount of points in the NFL. I didn't see that stat about the lack of points even just from either side. So I think if this is going over, it's going to be a blowout. Like Huss said, maybe it's Ravens just absolutely walking all over them. But even if it is, I feel like that's going to be a really hard number for them to hit even in a blowout. So I love the under. That's my favorite bet, no doubt. Although there is an offensive prop on the side of the Chargers that I really like. I did mention how bad the Ravens secondary is. Like, it is the worst in the NFL by far. When you look at the metrics of just pure yards per game through the air, or when you start looking at the DVOAs or the ADOTs, like every way you slice it, this Ravens offense gets chewed up in the aerial game. Ladd McConkey, this number doesn't really make sense to me. It's 68.5. And since the bye, he's averaged 73.2 receiving yards per game. So I really think he has found a nice chemistry with Herbert He trusts him. So I really like him to go over that number, 68.5 of his receiving yards. I also like his prop over as well, but I think this could be a big game for Ladd.
Huss, what are you thinking for player props? By the way, the random wheel this morning spun a Josh Palmer touchdown. That was our anytime touchdown score tonight from the wheel.
Okay.
So just a heads up, if anybody wants to ride with the wheel, Palmer touchdown. Huss, what do you like for player props?
You know, I'm looking in on these TD scores. I'm not going to take Derrick Henry at minus 227. I see, you know what, just your love for Ladd McConkey just moved that number from, or actually, no, he went up from plus 138 to plus 150 as you were speaking.
Everyone's fading me.
Apparently. And actually, it's funny. I just bet the Ravens at minus 2.5, minus 111, and it immediately went to minus 114. And by the way, if you do like the Chargers plus 2.5, it's now plus 105, which probably means that the three is still at minus 123. You know, I'm thinking, like, I do think there's going to be a lot of Justin Herbert throwing the football today. Do we just look at his over? Because, like, I don't know how well they're going to be able to run against the Ravens, and I know they're going to need to score points, or I assume that they will be, because I think Baltimore is definitely going to be doing that. So he could be throwing all day tonight. I mean, maybe that over 259.5. We could make something happen. The other thing that I like, does this surprise you that Lamar's touchdown number is 2-1? I kind of would have expected that would be a lot shorter of a number.
Maybe that just goes into the fact that
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, and also the fact that, I mean, this Chargers defense doesn't give up a lot of touchdowns, which almost leads me to believe like they'll be able to load up the box. They'll be able to take care of business against Henry, and it's going to have to be Lamar Jackson, you know, going beast mode and hero mode, tossing on the cape and running one in. So you kind of bring up a really good point there. But we're on the under, so I don't want to cheer for too many.
Well, that's
touchdowns.
the thing. Like, I'm sitting here, and I think my favorite prop is Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. But I'm also sitting here going, man, if we're on the under, what am I doing throwing in a couple of Lamar passing touchdowns? Because either he or Derrick Henry's probably going to rush for one as well. But still, I mean, that's 21 points. The total's 50. That's why that total being so high. I mean, maybe we're okay there.
Huss, I just wanted to bring one thing up because you were talking about this Ravens rush defense. I saw this today when I was doing some reading. Baltimore's defense has been credited with allowing only 10 carries of at least 12 yards. Only 10 times this year, a running back's been able to break off a big run. So that, you know, do we look at Dobbins under rushing yards? Like,
well, they got
his numbers,
Gus kind of, right? So it's already sort of a low number.
It's a low. That's the only thing that scares me. It's a really low number, but like that just, again, not trying to sway us on a certain bet, just your line of thinking though, that they're going to have to be pass heavy is probably the way to follow that game script. The Ravens secondary is bad. So I think all things are leading towards that when we're thinking of something on the Charger side. And also when you look at some of the numbers, as the Chargers have started to play a little bit better, they've now started to open up the playbook a little bit more for Herbert. That's why we're seeing more touches for McConkey. So I'd be okay with some sort of over prop when it comes to Herbert, whether it's completions or yards.
What about under
21.5?
Gus Edwards 24.5 under.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
the other guy, like
Dobbins is the guy that's going to be getting, I think, the majority of the touches.
Get a look here,
and they don't give up. They just don't give up big runs. The Ravens.
No, I don't think Gus is going to be a guy. I mean, a secondary running back under. I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a sketchy pick. I mean, it is a low number. You break one, and you could basically
I was just looking his last 4 games. He had 6 carries for 27 yards in that game against Cincinnati. 10 for 55 against Tennessee. 6 carries for just 19 yards against Kansas City, and 3 carries for 9 yards against Pittsburgh. And those are good defenses, right? And you get good defense against the run here for Baltimore. So, I don't hate that.
I mean, we could go if we wanted to. We could take the McConkey over, the Herbert over passing yards, and Lamar over 1.5 touchdowns, and just keep that. And then if you want to play the under on the other side, play that aside and just have a 3 prop one. Because as they do, I think this is going to be like a real showcase of these two quarterbacks.
I don't hate it.
So we're on the McConkey over on the yards?
Yeah, and I like Herbert to throw for 260.
And the thing is, fellas, I mean, there's a road for both these to cash. Like if Lamar has 2 touchdowns, like there's still
27, 20 still is an under.
Yeah,
in this game, you know, like
50's it's a 50 burger. Like that's a lot of points, especially in these primetime games. Like, although it's the Thursday nighters that are usually the ones that are a little more of the snooze fest, and we're seeing the longer rest actually ends up favoring the offenses. But no, I'm okay if we go just 3 props and then individually, if you want to ride with us with that under, that will be our play that you can tail us as well.
So it's 596 just with those 3 before a bump. So we're good with that?
I think so.
Okay.
So Lamar over 1.5 touchdowns, and then the over yards on Herbert passing and McConkey receiving.
All right. Yep.
I love it.
There we go. Okay. What's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk, Huss?
Well, lots of Jet stuff. 2 games to talk about on the weekend, and then a big one tonight with the hated Minnesota Wild in these parts. So we're going to head down to the Twin Cities, get the latest on that. Billy Hanel making his debut. Hammer's going to join me. We'll kind of wrap the final week. Well, actually more like dive headfirst into the CFL offseason and kind of look back at the Bombers garbage bag day, what we heard from O'Shea last week. And Sean Reynolds is going to jump on as well. Rennie's been all over the place. He was in Nashville for the game on Saturday. So lots of Jet stuff. And then we watch the game tonight and then get ready for the poker tourney tomorrow.
Series
fellas.
Tomorrow.
Quickly.
Yep. Patty, give it to us.
On that poker, a little breaking news here. So the top 2 finalists for tomorrow's poker tournament, obviously you'll get your normal payout that you normally will. But the top 2 will also be entered into a other tournament that is for the Costa Rica Poker Festival. So you will then get entered into another tournament where you have a chance to win an entry to a poker trip in Costa Rica. We'll get those details about the tournament itself, but I'll cover your stay, your travel, your entry in the tournament. There's a couple other events going on there as well. So if you needed a little more incentive to actually join this tournament, well, there is a chance that you can also get into a big tournament to win your chance to win a trip to Costa Rica. So that also includes you guys too. Hey,
I look
you
forward
guys
to a trip to Costa
Rica.
Rica. I'll just say that right now. Now I'm going to start trying. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, that's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Lock Shop Poker Series event number 4 tomorrow. Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up in 3 minutes over on the WST channel. We got the oil stream coming up right here on a Monday at noon on Edmonton Sports Talk. Boys, enjoy the Monday Nighter. We'll catch up again.
Have a good one, fellas.